For the first 2 days, this tournament was about survival. Now it's about ambition. Every team remaining can see the finish line. They can see the trophy. They can see the $1 million prize that goes to the winner. But the problem is, so can everyone else. Welcome to the knockout rounds of the TST, where the path to $1 million gets shorter and the challenge gets steeper. Hello, everybody. My name is Christian Filliman, but my friends call me Philly. Let's start at looking at the TST rules. We are 7v7, 2 18-minute halves, no offsides, no throw-ins, and every match ends in target score time. There will be no ties. We will have a game winner, and we'll talk all about that when we get there. Target score is set. Target score equals the leading team score +1. First to target score wins. Players removed every 3 minutes, and a new rule this season, no back passes beyond the midfield. So we're introducing that to you, but we'll obviously go over it again as we are getting set for what incredibly competitive matchup between Kings League All-Stars and the Reggae Rovers. As you're taking a look at Kelvin Oliveira, who leads all players in terms of goal scores, the man is a walking cheat code. Everywhere he has gone, he has taken the world by storm, and without question, the player to watch on Kings League All-Stars. This is a team that's gone undefeated, 17 goals, and more importantly, only 1 goal conceded. There we take a look at head coach of the Reggae Rovers, David Bascombe, and his side, who has become a fan favorite here, having competed in the last 3 TSTs with their best finish in the quarterfinals in 2024. Their player to keep an eye on would be number 91, O'Neal Fisher Jr., who had 20 caps with the Jamaican national team and experienced success with the Seattle Sounders, having won an MLS Cup. As far as Kings League All-Stars are concerned, they completely carved up their group. Group C, they were 3-0, 17 goals for, 1 goal allowed. Only one other team has scored the same, and that was Furia FC, who beat Orlando Pirates FC earlier. But the most important stat is the goals allowed. This is a team that is very disciplined on the defensive end. 1 goal conceded, and that goes back to the very beginning, the very first game. For the Reggae Rovers, a slightly more challenging road has brought them to this point. Only 1 win in Group K, but a big one came at the hands of the Ambush Stars, where they won 4-1. There we see players getting ready to take the pitch. Your starters. First for Kings League, Victor Vidal, Oscar Coy, David Soriano Gomez, Alex Gutierrez, Amar Zekic, Andreas Voss, the human cheat code, Kelvin Oliveira. On the other end, Marvin Phillip, Alvin Jones Jr., O'Neal Fisher, Philando Wing, Chivani Willis, Matthew Wuling, and Chevy Walsh. Reggae Rovers on your screen are wearing the black kits. Kings League All-Stars are wearing the yellow, and we are underway live from Field 2 here in WakeMed Soccer Park in beautiful North Cary, North Carolina, the home of the TST and the foreseeable home for the TST in the future. Got a great crowd on hand today. From what we're being told, we already had attendance records potentially being broken today, as the pass gets rolled into Alex Gutierrez. Guti, co-captain of the team, he's got a fascinating story. A former school teacher that has now decided to hang up his chalk and pursue professional football, as he has had a great deal of success in Kings League. One of the most decorated players, 4 titles, and a lot to show for his success. There are a lot of our viewers out there that are not familiar with what Kings League is. Kings League was started in 2023, as there's a foul on the field attributed to the Reggae Rovers. Kings League was formed in 2023, and it has become a very popular tournament. In fact, the 3rd most viewed league on TikTok after the NFL and the NBA. Over 2.8 billion views is what Kings League has garnered, and it has grown highly successful. A lot of players here at the TST tournament competing from Kings League. In fact, 75% of the teams that are in the knockout rounds have at least 1 Kings League player. And from what we've heard, over 232 players from Kings League are competing at TST, as Reggae Rovers look to go on the run, as that shot is fired away with bad intentions, but off the mark, as it was Ricardo Thomas, Jamaican international with 14 caps, that took the first bite out of the apple, but that bite a little too aggressive as it sailed above the crossbar. There we see Robert Palmer. Robert Palmer, a legend in the Major Arena Soccer League, played with Reggae Rovers in past TSTs, was also with West Ham last year. Robert Palmer recently became a player coach in the Major Arena Soccer League with the Empire Strikers. And it is he, along with David Bascombe, the head coach of the Baltimore Blast in the Major Arena Soccer League, that are running the controls here for Reggae Rovers. A team that is beloved, and the vibes, the dance, the goal celebrations. And since they are veterans of the TST, they garner a lot of support. In Kings League All-Stars, this is a team that is formed from the best players from all over the Kings League. A 7v7 tournament created by PK, and it has grown. 9 regional leagues, 7 men, 2 women's teams, 2 annual international tournaments. Played in West Europe, Latin America, the Middle East, North Africa. And this potentially is going to be the team to beat, as Kelvin Oliveira was the intended target, but missed on his opportunity. In the last split in the Kings League, he scored 33 goals for the team that he played for, which lost in the finals to another club called Desimpen. There we see Guti playing it back to his keeper. Reggae Rovers, in their first set of games, lost 4-2 to Tactical Manager, lost 2-1 to the Amarillo Bombers, but beat that Ambush Stars team by a score of 4-1, which helped propel them. They didn't finish top 2 in their group, but the best 8 that did not finish in the top 2 also got to advance. Because of the goals they scored, they're sitting in this position right here. And Gengar Lasso, upper right corner, where my Uncle Franz keeps the good shots. Kings League All-Stars. Andreas Voss with what could potentially be the goal of the evening. Let's take a look at that replay again and how that was set up from well outside of the box, clearing himself the space. Absolutely beating and outstretching the keeper. What an incredible shot. Marvin Phillip did everything he could, including putting on a Superman cape, trying to fly through the sky to make the save, but Kings League All-Stars takes the lead as Phillip launches that into the stratosphere and into the not-so-cheap seats. Kings League All-Stars regain possession. More than 2,400 players have competed throughout the short tenure of the Kings League. It's Reggae Rovers, a promising attack, and the save is made. First time being tested is Victor Vidal, the goalkeeper for Kings League All-Stars. And so it is Guti. And Guti won a Golden Fleece the other day playing with Kings League All-Stars. I'll tell you all about the Golden Fleece when we get into target score time. So that pass comes in to David Soriano, the all-time win leader in Kings League, 2-time world champ and a European champ. Pass comes back to Soriano as Alex Gutierrez gets it towards the midfield. Trying to find some space, poked away by Kings League, or by the Reggae Rovers, giving Kings League possession. Voigt, the official ball supplier of the TST tournament, created in Los Angeles but perfected in Mexico. That pass comes in to the left. Trying to clear up some space is Gutierrez. He's in the box and bodied off the ball. Just seeing both teams coming out there being physical. Things have opened up in the TST as the defending champions, Bumpy Pitch, were beaten quite easily by Quick Goal by a score of 5-0. So there will be a new champion here at TST. The 4th annual soccer tournament is called Cary, North Carolina Home. Since then, and with a hefty investment from the state of North Carolina and the city of Cary, TST will be here for the foreseeable future. Wake Med Soccer Park, the home of the NWSL's NC Courage, has been a great host as this tournament is taking place on their pitch. Shot takes a deflection and recovered by Oliveira. Kelvin also competed in the Major Arena Soccer League for a short period of time with Utica City FC. where in 12 games played in upstate New York, he managed to light the lamp on 29 occasions. As Vidal heads it out of the danger zone, receives the pass back. For the most part, Reggae Rovers have been running around with their heads on a swivel with the way Kings League All-Stars have been passing the ball around. Soriano gets it across the midfield into Carles Planas. Carles was with the La Masia Barcelona Academy, also had 2 apps with the main club, competing in a Champions League. In Kings League with Los Troncos in Spain, as we have our first yellow card. And that's going to be assessed to Reggae Rovers, number 40, Matthew Wu Ling. An aggressive foul as we take a look at that replay again. Looks like he made contact above the shoulders. And down goes Planas. But he's quickly back up on his feet, and free kick for the All-Stars. And we see goalkeeper for Reggae Rovers, Marvin Phillip, shouting instructions to his back line. Phillip, 92 caps with Trinidad and Tobago's national team. A lot of Jamaican internationals and a lot of Trinidad nationals on this Reggae Rovers side. As stated, their 3rd TST. They lost to Boca Dallas 3-2 in the round of 32 last year. They needed a final victory against the Ambush All-Stars in order to get out of the group stages, and we have a player down on the pitch. Speaking of pitch, for those wondering at home how big of a field this is, 65 by 45 yards. The goals, 6.5 feet high, 18.5 feet wide. Not a lot of room to operate. But a lot of these players compete on the small side, whether it be futsal, arena soccer, Kings League, Ballers League, Icon League, all kinds of leagues. And it's been the players from the arena that have dominated this tournament. And Kings League All-Stars didn't come here to participate. They came here to take over. And thus far, with their performance throughout the group stages, they look like the team to beat. Pass on the inside. The shot fired, saved by Phillip. Ball is loose and recovered by Reggae Rovers keeper. A sensational save as the Rovers are on the run. And the run was short-lived as Alvin Jones tried to make the run, but poked away by this back line. Let's take a look at that last attempt. And that sensational save by Phillip. Had to stick his hands out there, and he got his big paws on that football. 10 minutes into the first half, and it is the Kings League All-Stars that are still holding on to this lead, 1-0. As Rushiki Kelson is looking over at the official, trying to see whether or not they blow the whistle for the foul. The officials are allowing both teams to play. A lot at stake here. $1 million on the line, and if that's not enough to get your competitive juices firing, then I don't know what to tell you. You don't have a pulse. So both teams can sub on the fly. Unlimited subs, unlike the outdoor 11v11 world, but the subs have to go into the box. No more than 3 can be in the substitution box at any given moment. Cross into the box, right into Vidal. As Chevy Walsh was making his run, but Vidal much quicker to it than Walsh. Walsh played 2 years collegiately at Jefferson College in the United States, where he was an NJCAA All-American. Also played professionally in the USL with the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. Now we're seeing a high press implemented by Reggae Rovers, who's trying to build some momentum and find an equalizer. The Kings League All-Stars have found their seams and been easily able to thread some passes along and open things up. Very clinical. These are the best players from across all the different Kings League teams. There was an upset earlier today when LCF Academy defeated Fotba Funkball Club, a team that went 5-5 in Kings League Brazil most recently. And as stated, 75% of the teams here in the knockout rounds had at the very minimum one Kings League player. Pass in, just outside of the box. Intercepted by the Rovers. Making it extremely difficult is Nadir Lua. And it is Vidal well outside of his box as he boots it in to Vaz. Andreas Vaz trying to carve up his defender. Nowhere to go, opting to go backwards. Pass inside. And there you see the stellar defense by Alvin Jones. Alvin Jones played 57 games on the global stage with Trinidad's national team. Also featured in 2019 with OKC Energy and was within Real Salt Lake's system in Major League Soccer before his final team was Forward Madison in 2022. Phillip, and he's had a couple of great saves here, preventing the All-Stars from really taking this game out. That pass comes into Josiah Edwards. He gets dispossessed. About 4.5 minutes to go here in this first half. Reggae Rovers a little more disciplined on the defensive end after conceding that first goal early on. 18 goals thus far have been scored collectively by Kings League All-Stars in all the games that they have competed in. One of the highest scoring teams. So the pass comes back to Vidal, and that's more credit towards how Reggae Rovers is playing their defense, as the foul's going to be attributed and given to Umar Silla. Silla, 3 years in the Major Arena Soccer League with the Baltimore Blast, and his last year was his finest, where he led the MASL in assists with 23 and was an MASL Elite 6 player. You'll hear me mention the acronym and that name quite frequently, as the last 3 years this tournament has been dominated by teams from the Major Arena Soccer League. On a bumpy pitch most recently as that shot fired right into the breadbasket of Marvin Phillip. The bumpy pitch, no longer the defending champs as they lost, but their team of MASL players. The year prior to that, La Bombonera, same story could be said there. In 2023, the inaugural champions, Newtown Pride, also a team made up of MASL talent. And it is the Kings League squad that is looking to dethrone the MASL as the players that dominate. This tournament has a lot of players that have competed at the World Cup and for big teams. But the small-sided players have dominated time and time and year after year. As the All-Stars regained possessions, we momentarily had Reggae Rovers almost catching a telegraph pass, and the attempt goes back to Phillip. Phillip has had a couple of saves most recently, but both attempts went directly to him where he didn't really have to move. That wasn't the case for the first moments of the first half. He was outstretched on a number of occasions. Reggae Rovers with a little bit of real estate to operate. As Kevon Frater tries to connect with Wu Ling. And we're hearing some oohs and ahs in the crowd. There you're seeing Wu Ling. The travels of a professional soccer player are fascinating. Wu Ling with Trinidad and Tobago's national team. Played his college at Iowa Western. Also was a professional in Iceland. A lot of stamps and a lot of visas. That gets hit off the head of Guti. Back towards Reggae Rovers. Trying to build out of the back. So we're finally getting a glance at Alaish Marti wearing the number 92. He broke the Kings League record for most goals in a single split. 34 goals in 10 games. So we mentioned how Kelvin Oliveira was a walking cheat code, but Marti himself is quite competent at going from pitch to stitch, from turf to twine. About a minute remaining here in the first half, as Kings League All-Stars mounting up an attack. Both teams going back and forth. Voss fires it in right off of the back of Chivani Willis. Promising opportunity on the counter. And the official indicates that it's going to stay on this side of the field. So with 30 seconds remaining in the first half, Reggae Rovers potentially with one last opportunity to find an equalizer. So we're looking at Alex Marshall. Puts it into play. Marshall, 14 caps with Jamaica. And that takes a nasty deflection off of Amar Zekic. The turnaround saved by Vidal. Final moments as Guti heads it high into the sky. And the official blows the whistle, indicating the end of the first half. Low-scoring game thus far within the first 18 minutes. As Kings League All-Stars currently leading this game. We're going to send it to break, and when we come back at the other end of this commercial break, we're going to give you some halftime stats. Stick around. You are watching the TST live from Wakeman Soccer Park in Cary, North Carolina. The soccer tournament is presented by RBC Wealth Management, the official wealth management sponsor of TST. Let's take a look at our halftime stats brought to you by RBC Wealth Management. The low-scoring game thus far, controlled, though, by Kings League All-Stars. And there you see it on your screen. 6 shots for Kings League All-Stars compared to the 5 by Reggae Rovers. 4-2 in terms of shots on goal, and it was Marvin Phillip, the busier of the keepers, making 3 saves to Vidal's 2. Only a couple of set pieces for each team, but at the end of the day, the biggest stat that matters is the scoreline. And that is the fact that it's the Kings League All-Stars that lead this game. We're going to send it to another break, and when we come back, we got more action live from Wakeman Soccer Park here in Cary, North Carolina. Back in a moment. Welcome back, folks. We're moments away from the start of the second half in this round of 32 contest between Kings League All-Stars and Reggae Rovers. Let's take a look at the only goal of the game, but I say that tongue-in-cheek, as that only goal was an incredible goal. Fired off by Andreas Voss. He goes upper shelf, top right corner, and nothing that Marvin Phillip can do short of calling Superman to help assist him on making that save. That is the lone goal that we've had thus far, but still plenty more action to be had here. 18 more minutes before we head into target score time as we kick things off here in Cary, North Carolina. TST is more than just a soccer tournament. It's really turned into a global soccer festival, with people coming in from all over the globe. 159 games over the course of this glorious short week. A men's division, a women's division, and for the first time ever, a mixed division. So consistently growing, and the crowd really filling in here at Field 2. And they've been treated to some incredibly competitive games. There was a back heel to Marvin Phillip from Alvin Jones, and they both looked at each other with those eyes and question marks. What are you doing? As that was a turnover that potentially could have led to a calamitous situation. In addition to the growth that happened, there's been a home run derby that was won by Club America's Miguel Layun, and keeper wars that has taken place just as we were getting ready to get this game started. Couldn't stream that anywhere, but that just means you have to come to Cary, North Carolina. The Raleigh-Durham Airport's the place you're going to want to fly into. And I'd highly recommend it if you're on the fence or on the cusp. Their hands, contact above the face, but the official indicates no. So we continue to play on as Kayvon Goddard advances it forward. Reggae Rovers trying to claw their way back into this matchup. Let's take a look at that moment again. And there you see the hand to the face. From our perspective, it didn't look like it was that lethal, but there was in fact contact above the shoulders. Well, last we play on. The officials allowing both teams to compete, and when you're at this stage of the game, it's all about survival and ambition. As there is a big bag of cash at the end of this rainbow. How big? 7 figures big. $1 million to be precise. Turnover as Kings League All-Stars are building up a promising attack. Cleared away, and for a moment, that ball taking a different deflection. Might have seen things a little differently here. But it's going to fall back to Vidal. Vidal, without question, one of the best goalkeepers in the Kings League. Can score long-range golazos. And another fun fact about Vidal, he works as a plastic surgeon in Barcelona. So a man of many talents, and clearly good with his hands, which is excellent for a goalkeeper, and of course a plastic surgeon. Reggae Rovers will blast into a yellow brick wall. Turnover though. Back and forth. Reggae Rovers were looking for a handball. We could see the bench adamant. Now we don't have the benefit of VAR in this tournament, so we resume activity. Space opens up, a shot, and the goal! The equalizer by the Reggae Rovers, and it is scored by number 10, Rushiki Kelson! Reggae Rovers were chomping at the bit. Let's take a look at that replay once again as they aggressively fought, regaining control. And things opened up. Vidal steps up, and then finding the seam, finding the gap is Kelson. Despite the flexibility of Vidal, the Rovers have now tied it up. 1-1 now the score, and this makes things interesting. One team is undefeated. That would be Kings League All-Stars. One team went 1-2. That's the Reggae Rovers. But when you get into this portion of the tournament, anything can happen. Unknowns become legends. Superstars go home. That's the beauty of the TST. Now you can clearly see a different sense of urgency from Kings League All-Stars as they're stringing together a couple of passes, trying to spread out the Reggae Rovers defense that has been very disciplined after the first goal of the game was scored. There we see Kelvin Oliveira, K9. If there's anybody that could take a bite out of the back line, it is that man. Tried out for Kings League, threw an open call, and he became the biggest star in the league. And that's the beautiful aspect about not only Kings League, but the TST is players that may have slipped through the cracks of the academies and the professional rankings can still find their way doing what they dreamed about as kids, and that's playing professionally the game that they love. And Kelvin Oliveira is a case. Same thing could be said with Alex Gutierrez. Guti, who was a former school teacher. Both players that have found a tremendous amount of success in Kings League. As it is recovered, it is Willis. As they're hugging the touchline. And the pass in to Wu Ling. As he moves across the midfield. Running in is Trayvon Reed. As it's going to casually come out of play, and it is Vidal who now has possession. And there we see a press implemented by Reggae Rovers. Rovers was one of the most brilliant crests you'll see at the TST. And you could head to soccer.com for all of that. Here comes Kelvin, the shot right into the hands of Phillip. Just see how effective and just how quickly he goes from his touch to a shot. And there you go, there's the crest of the Reggae Rovers, and that's as nice as it gets, folks. And shout out to our production crew for putting that up on the screen. So now you all know what I'm talking about. Reggae Rovers bringing those island vibes, that Jamaican juju and that flavor from Trinidad. These players from the Caribbean are hungry to put down their flag on this tournament. But as are these Kings League All-Star players. Not here to participate, here to take over. But thus far, they're tied up as we're 7 minutes and change in. Quick footwork by Kelvin. His attempt, similar to the last one he struck, into the hands of Marvin Phillip. Marvin Phillip, the keeper for Reggae Rovers, in addition to being a footballer, also played cricket. Football, soccer being the most popular sport in the world, cricket being the second most popular. That's a man who's got his hands everywhere. As an inadvertent touch leads to a nice opportunity. But as I say that, Kings League All-Stars recover and are trying to build a run, but nobody joining Kelvin on his run. Is that discipline of Reggae Rovers. Defensively, staying compact, trying to prevent any easy challenges toward Marvin Phillip. And there's Carlos Blanas. Puts it into play. Former FC Barcelona Academy product. Also competed in Greece and Cyprus. He's third in the 2025 Golden Crown for Kings League. Shot just narrowly misses past the outstretched hands of Marvin Phillip. As we quickly approach the halfway point, let's take a look at that last shot again. Beautiful shot that was inches away from being another Kings League golazo. Alvin Jones. Excellent touch. As as Rovers connect with Reed. Trayvon Reed played with the Oakland Roots. Oakland Roots, in fact, the only professional team now in the city of Oakland. 59 games and 4 goals scored there for Trayvon Reed. Also played professionally in Jamaica with 1 call-up to the national team. Several members of the Reggae Rovers have represented their country or their respective countries on the international stage. But the same can be said about the Kings League All-Stars. Marti, the individual who scored 34 goals in 10 games played, who broke the Kings League record. Cross. And headed out of danger by number 6, Ricardo Thomas. Thomas with 106 games played with Waterhouse in Kingston, Jamaica. So a big shout out to the Waterhouse fans that are tuning into this broadcast. The attempt saved by Phillip. Rebound and the goal! The go-ahead goal scored by number 19, Sekic. Sequinho putting Kings League up by a score of 2-1. As we see Marvin Phillip beside himself. Had a great save. Let's take a look at that one again as Marti plays it. His cross. The shot. Phillip makes the save. Nobody there to clean it up. And an easy path to the go-ahead goal for Zekic. 2-1 now for Kings League All-Stars. But will the Rovers have a quick response? Pocket picked cleanly. And that was Theo Chendry, who was with FC Barca's U15 all the way through the U19s. Also played with France's U17s through the 19s. 20 caps across that entire spectrum. Long ball in across the midfield. Let's take a look at that last attempt, and a pocket picked so cleanly you'd think you were in Times Square in the 90s. Alvin Jones boots it towards Vidal. 2-1 the score remains. And it has been an incredibly exciting game between both teams. Two teams that are eager to move on to the next round. The winner sticks around. The loser packs up their bags or becomes a fan in the stands. Speaking of which, a lot of fans in the stands here on field two. The further we get into the tournament, these games get more competitive. The more visible the $1 million bag is, the harder the competition becomes. For some of these teams, while the prize money at the end of the rainbow is enticing, it's all about establishing the brand, the name, and the recognition. Kings League All-Stars is all about that, as they are looking to conquer the globe. And everybody in Cary, North Carolina, opportunity sails well above the crossbar. Overcooked by Guti. Put a little too much pepper on his steak. Clearly a hungry, ambitious opportunity. Let's take a look at it once again. Guti tries to slip it home. And there's the replay. And as we're showing the replay, Guti tried to make up for the lost and missed opportunity that he had just seconds ago. And the official helping up Alvin Jones. Marvin Phillip plays it in the Philando wing. Wing who's played in the Jamaican Premier League with Montego Bay United, Arnett Gardens, just to name a couple of teams. As the Voigts ball, the official ball supplier of the TST, sails into the stands. As you're looking on your screen, a healthy crowd here. Again, TST looking to break its attendance records. Moment of glory here, potentially. And it is good. It suffices. That moment of glory is established. Kings League All-Stars, 3-1. And the goal scored by a goal-scoring sensation Aleix Marti. Let's take a look at it once again. The defense is what led to this counter. The pass in from Lua, and no question about it, knocking on Marvin Phillips' door was Marti. And he goes near side, just above the hands of Phillip. 3-1. And as we quickly approach the target score time, it's going to make things very tough for Reggae Rovers. As at one point, they had an equalizer. But Kings League All-Stars all of a sudden flipped another switch and went into hyperdrive. And still with their foot on the gas defensively. Pass into the midfield. Advancing it forward is Isaiah Leacock, but poked away. Isaiah 2 caps with Trinidad. Fun fact about him is he scored a goal in his national team debut. How's about that? You get the call-up, play for your national team, and what do? You score a goal in your very first game. There we see O'Neal Fisher. We haven't seen much of him today. He was one of the players that we were highlighting. Not sure if Robert Palmer and David Bascombe were trying to keep him fresh for target score time. Phillip. And that's going to be a foul issue to Kings League All-Stars. These last 5 or so minutes, been all about Kings League thus far. And a yellow card flashed, potentially for dissent. Played in by Willis. Fisher. Without question, Reggae Rovers' most decorated player. The turnaround shot by Walsh. Deflected. Pass in the midfield to Fisher. Despite being down 3-1, another goal for Reggae Rovers would make things a little easier for them as we head into target score time. About 90 seconds away from the end of regulation. And we'll tell you and remind you all about those target score time rules once we get there. Very unique way to end a match. In a very fun way as well. Pass into Kelvin. Kelvin, shot right into Phillip. Kelvin's had a couple of attempts that Marvin Phillip has denied of him. You see Marvin Phillip in his sleep. That is, of course, if the Reggae Rovers win this contest, which at this point, they're down 3-1, but anything can happen in target score time. Crazier things have happened in target score time. 30 seconds remaining here in regulation. Stripped away. Pass up to Kelvin. Kelvin creates some space for himself. Fires it. And Kelvin Oliveira, as he has done multiple times over the course of the past couple of days, goes from pitch to stitch. It is now 4-1. We've jokingly called him a walking cheat code. But give this man some space, and he's going to make you pay. Let's take a look at that one again. Finds himself the space with the touch. Fires it past Phillip. And he is not to be denied. So, folks, that ends regulation. We're going to step aside for a quick break, and when we come back, we got target score time. Stick around. So much more action to be had here at TST. The soccer tournament is presented by RBC Wealth Management, the official wealth management sponsor of TST, and by Soccer.com, an official partner of the soccer tournament. Let's review those target score time rules as we've made it to that portion of the game. Target score time at the end of the second half. The target score is set, and that means it's the leading team's score plus 1. First to the target score wins, and players removed every 3 minutes if the target score has not been reached. And a new rule implemented here in 2026 is no back passes beyond the midfield. If a team plays it into their backfield, they have 15 seconds to advance it. If they don't, it is a turnover. The opposition takes it at the spot of the infraction. The only time it is clean is if it deflects off of a defender, then the team that was controlling has the 15 seconds reset. So we talked about the target score. In this case, it is 5. Next goal for Kings League wins. For Reggae Rovers, they've got a big hill to climb as they only have 1. They need 4 goals here in target score time in order to win. So we are going to begin with 7v7. 3 minutes expire and no target score is established. Then we go 6v6. It'll go no less than 2v2. And we haven't had many instances of 2v2 here this year. Last year, about 32% of the time it went into 2v2 in target score time, which is exactly why that backfield violation rule was implemented in the first place. Games have gone by quicker, and it's made things more exciting as Vidal covers it up, but have a player down on the pitch, writhing in pain on Kings League. There we see Walsh heading back to his respective bench, and it is Planas. Let's take a look at what just transpired. It looks like he took an arm from Walsh. And he quickly got up, and there we see Walsh with few things to say as Guti, co-captain of the team, is having a conversation with the referee. So from that perspective, yes, there we see it, point blank range, an elbow to the head. Now, seeing Tweety Birds momentarily was Planas. And he got up, and for a split second, he was looking for somewhere to go or somebody to argue with. But he is back up, and that might have been a dangerous thing to do because he is fired up. And what we know is once the switch gets flipped for Kings League All-Stars, that potentially could mean good night to the opposition. So we play on. Because of that, once we hit 3 minutes, there'll be some additional time thrown on there because of what transpired moments ago. Pass in, and it's going to deflect out of play. 5 is the target score. 1 more needed for Kings League All-Stars. For a moment or two, thought that Reggae Rovers were going to create a situation where an upset would occur. But since the equalizer, Kings League All-Stars have gone on a tear. Headed towards Marti. Marti, a big part of the offense this evening for Kings League All-Stars. When you score 34 goals over the course of 10 games, you're clearly clinical. So look for Marti to be one of the focal points. It's Kelvin Oliveira not on the pitch for Kings League All-Stars. And it's going to trickle back towards Phillip. Phillip elevates it, but recovered by the All-Stars. The pass in to Vidal as he kicks it out of play wildly and into the not-so-cheap seats. Ball played back to Phillip. Phillip across midfield. Anytime a Reggae Rovers come into possession, shot just narrowly misses. A valiant effort nonetheless, taken by number 11, Josiah Edwards. So we've hit the 3-minute mark So one player gets removed from each side, and instead of 7v7, we go 6v6. Let's take a look at that last shot, how close it was. Well, off by a little more than a couple of inches. So we are at 6v6. Target score time, the only place in the world where real estate starts to grow the further you come along. And with real estate, you can't keep growing it, but you certainly can here in target score time. You see a moment of curiosity from Kings League as player got taken down by the Reggae Rovers. And no call, but the officials are letting them play on. Nobody wants to have the stalling in terms of that. But an opportunity opening up here as Kelvin's back in the game. Excellent defending by Reggae Rovers. Tripped up on the pitch, no foul though. As Guti recovers. Zekic, who's also inserted his name statistically into the scoring line. And there's Kelvin, who was in the conversation for the Golden Boot here at TST. It was him and Orlando Pirates' Jose Garcia, also known as Joka, but with Furia FC knocking out Orlando Pirates, Kelvin Oliveira now has had the opportunity to take sole possession. But with that goal, I believe he might be tied. I have to double check on that, but Kelvin, one of the leading scorers here when it comes to goals and it comes to points. The build-up from Reggae Rovers, a shot right in to the hands of Vidal. Vidal slowed down once he saw the bigger Siobhan Walsh. You're going to want to slow things down when you're going up against a man named Chevy. Oliveira pressing. Rovers just trying to get away. Foot in the build-up. Reggae Rovers have the numbers here. Just narrowly missing on that far post. It was an incredibly brilliant build-up, as Alvin Jones just missed the slide on that far post. Let's take a look at that replay again. On the right side, threading through that needle and just missed narrowly. What that would have done to change the momentum of this ball game, this contest. These two titans competing, trying to move on out of the knockout rounds. Win and carry on, lose and go to the stands. Somebody will walk away from here happy, somebody will walk out sad. The shot just narrowly misses on the other end. As Oscar Coy, just to the right. Played his Kings League in Spain with Porcinos FC. Let's take a look at the replay once again. Just how close that was. Close enough to where the sweat will trickle away from your eyebrow. And we're at those nervous moments where we're all going to have our nervous tics. 3 more minutes expire, so now we go from 6v6 to 5v5. That real estate growing right before our very eyes. There you're seeing Carlos Planas.
5v5.
5v5. And in scenarios like this, it's not uncommon for teams to pull their keeper to add an extra attacker. And that'll be indicated with an extra attacker kit or perhaps a penny. But we have seen goalkeeper goals in target score time. Now Reggae Rovers, as mentioned, they've got a big hill to climb, but Everest was a big hill, as was Mount Kilimanjaro, and they were climbed. So this hill, not as massive as the other ones I just mentioned. Phillip, right at the midfield. Keep in mind that there is a backfield violation, so he is towing that line. In this event, it is no backfield violation because it was deflected off of Kings League. And we carry on. Phillip into his left, finding some space for the pass Directed towards Wu Ling. Phillip well outside of his box. Down goes Voss. Yellow card. Reggae Rovers seeing a lot of yellow. And I don't just mean the kids of the Kings League All-Stars. Let's take a look at the replay. Clearly no play on the ball. A boot right to the knee. And that could not have felt good. And you have to credit Andreas Voss for continuing the play. Because even from our perspective there, you know that couldn't have felt good. And now it is Vidal outside of his zone. The open net. This is one of those live by the sword, die by the sword moments. Bringing in that extra attacker could prove to be beneficial, or it could prove to be costly. Can the gamble pay off? And that's what this rolling of the dice is going to show us. Back and forth they go. Where they end up, nobody knows. Nico Santos in the game wearing the number 7. Played with Fulham's U23. Also a 4-time chap with Corinthians FC, competing in the Kings League World Cup in addition to that. Haven't seen much of Santos, because we haven't really referred to him very often in this contest. There is the aforementioned Santos as he finds Oscar Coy. Coy back to Santos. Inching inside the box. Trying to catch the Rovers making any kind of a slip-up. This back and forth action. The pass. Space is opened up. The shot takes a deflection. It's not uncommon for these passes that string along to open up a space with a defender that slips onto the pitch. We have seen that before, which is why they're stringing together these passes. The back and forth is tactical. It's not just for show. Coy, Vidal, inside, and Phillip gets his paws on it. And the official turned around to look at the clock. Another 3 minutes have expired. Another player will be removed. Let's take a look at that last replay. And once again, Marvin Phillip comes up with a huge save. He's right around 10 saves for the day. He has been tested time and time again. He has been a bullseye for these Kings League All-Star players. So we see Vidal now head to the Pine Pony, the bench. We have an extra attacker for Kings League All-Stars. Trying to see who's wearing the extra attacker penny. And it looks like it's number 10, Oscar Coy.
We're now at 4v4.
Precious moments. Opening things. The pass into Coy. Coy inside the box. And it is Phillip once again who gets in the way of a promising Kings League attack. Vidal comes on for Reggae Rovers. It is Marvin Phillip that comes off. So the further along we get in a target score time, the more often we're going to see just this. This is what makes Kings League, this is what makes this game between Kings League All-Stars and Reggae Rovers fun. This is what makes the TST fun. Taking traditional football rules and tearing up the manuscript. No ties. This will end in a game winner. Who puts on the cape? Who becomes the Superman? Who's the legend? Who becomes the GOAT? Rovers. Just outside the box. Inside and missed by Walsh. And so a long attempt. The run. The attempt. And the miss by Carbo, Roger Carbo. Roger Carbo, who was so close to putting the proverbial nail in the coffin. Let's take a look at that again as Marvin Phillip, the goalkeeper from Reggae Rovers, sprints into the box. And he was flat-footed. Headed out by Vidal. Picked right back up by Voss. And there's no Reggae Rover with an extra attacker jersey for Penny. Vidal coming in. And Phillip is still hanging out in the substitution box as he cannot come onto the pitch just yet. That's going to be a foul. And that's exactly why that was implemented, so Marvin Phillip can come right back on as he was off, and that could have created a terrible moment for Reggae Rovers, but an absolute advantageous one for Kings League All-Stars. About 20 seconds away from another player getting removed from both sides. Unless, of course, that target score can get established. Koi into Zekic. Back to Zekic. Koi wide open up top. He's looking to filter it through to his left. Opts to go the opposite way. Koi now goes to his left. Taking his time as the 3 minutes have expired. Until a dead ball occurs, we're still going to carry on. Koi. Recovered by Reggae Rovers, and they've got an open net. The goal trickles in, and it's a goal! Courtesy of Alvin Jones. And the Reggae Rovers have cut into this lead. It is now 4-2. Let's take a look at that again. Talk about marksmanship. As that one went the distance. And Jones saw the C part and successfully went from the pitch to the stitch of the netting. Now the hill becomes more of a mound, but still 3 goals are needed for Reggae Rovers to walk away from this one with a win. 1 goal needed for Kings League All-Stars. And instead of Koi, it looks like it's Nico Santos wearing the extra attacker penny. It is Nico Santos. Quickly moving the ball back and forth as we are 3v3 now. This is where possession is crucial. Mistake can be very costly. Kings League has a player open on the far end. And the easy taparoo! And Kings League All-Stars win! Goal scored by Andreas Voss. And the celebration occurs. All over the continent, Kings League All-Stars move on to the next round. Let's take a look at that replay once again. Just the quick passing back and forth from Kings League All-Stars opened up a seam, and taking his time, you could drive a Mack truck through the space that Andreas Voss had. And he puts the proverbial nail in the coffin to Reggae Rovers' TST run. An exciting matchup between these two teams. And the participation is still looking like a takeover. Let's go through a couple of final stats. Reggae Rovers, 12 shots, 5 on target. Kings League All-Stars, 23 with 14 on target. At the end of the day, though, the final stat that matters is the scoreline. 5-2 in favor of the Kings League All-Stars. On behalf of myself, Christian Filliman, better known as Philly, just want to say thank you so much for tuning in to the TST tournament. Shout out to our production crew, and there's still so much more action to be had, so many more games to be had, and head on over to YouTube to catch the rest of the action here. I will see you all tomorrow, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you so much.